go to the mighty YouTube.
Yes.
Look for our channel, Tequila Gringa and the Jimmy. Tequila Gringa. Did I say Tequila Gringa?
Yes.
Shit. Welcome everyone to the Tequila Jimmy and La Gringa show.
La Gringa.
Where we discuss everything and anything pop culture. I'm your host, Tequila Jimmy, along with my beautiful sidekick, La Gringa.
Thank you. Thank you guys for watching and listening, coming back.
What just happened to you?
What happened to the room? It's all
I
black
don't know.
and white
Why
and
does everything
gray.
look like? Why do I look like this?
We look very...
Wait, this can only mean one thing.
What?
We've entered into another dimension. A dimension beyond that which is known to man.
Is it the dimension that is as vast as space and as timeless as infinity?
We've just crossed over into the Twilight Zone. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Today's show is about the Twilight Zone. But wait, before we begin, hold on a second.
There we go.
That's much better. I feel a lot better now. Yes, today's show is about the Twilight Zone. But with this show, as customary, the very first thing we do is we pour ourselves a drink. Then we go to the other room and we grab our favorite recreational activity. Then we sit down and enjoy the show. So, like we said, today's show is about my favorite television show ever produced, light years ahead of its time, The Twilight Zone.
Oh, such a great...
The Twilight Zone was created by a literary genius called Rod Serling, which we'll tell you about in a little bit. And the show was created in 1959. But before I talk to you about that, I want to tell you what the show is about because some of you probably haven't seen it. And if you haven't, what the hell is wrong with you?
Yeah, get out of the rock you're living under if you haven't seen this show or even heard about it.
Yeah, this is basically an anthology type show where every story is different. It has mostly a sci-fi theme to it, but it involves with something really screwed up happening to someone where they're wondering where they're at or why this is happening to them.
Something completely off the wall.
Yeah, and I wouldn't even call it a supernatural thing because it has nothing to do with ghosts or anything like that. Some episodes might, but for the most part, it's just weird stuff that all of a sudden they find themselves somewhere where they didn't expect to be.
Yes.
So that's the basic premise of the show. It was created in 1959 and ran all the way through 1964. 156 episodes of The Twilight Zone were produced, and it ran for 5 seasons. Every single episode, for the most part, was 30 minutes long, except for those in season 4.
They were an hour long. They went from an hour long to because they were going off of what's his name?
Alfred Hitchcock Presents. So Alfred Hitchcock Presents was same type of show, but it had to do more with murder and mystery. With plot twist at the end, just like the Twilight Zone. And they decided to do the Alfred Hitchcock Hour. So
and it didn't do too well.
It didn't do too well. So I don't know why the Twilight Zone decided to follow in its footsteps, but they did. They did 3 seasons, and then for the 4th season, they decided, oh, you know what? Let's go to 1-hour shows. And it didn't work out too well. So season 5 came around, and they were back to the 30-minute shows.
They dialed it back.
Yeah. So let's start from the beginning, and that is the genius behind the Twilight Zone. Mr. Rod Serling.
Not sterling. He is not jewelry. He's not sterling steel. He's not silverware.
More often than not, you're gonna hear people call him Rod Serling.
No.
That is not correct.
Wrong.
Rod Serling was in college a physical education major.
Yeah, he went to college for physical education because he had a background in boxing. He was he was a boxer,
which is why he liked to write a lot of stories around boxing, boxing theme.
Yes,
and he was also should I mention a World War II veteran, so he loved war stories.
Yeah, he was in the army in World War II.
Yeah, you'll find that a lot of the scripts in the Twilight Zone have that kind of thing. A lot of episodes are just war themed.
Yes.
Or there's a few boxing themed. I think there's 2 or 3 that I can remember that are boxing themed in the Twilight Zone. He got his start. Actually, he was a PE major, and then he decided to switch his major to literature.
Yes.
And thank God he did, because the guy was just
Super
light years
talented.
ahead of other people when it came to writing and even using words in general.
Yeah,
And
wordsmith. He was an absolute wordsmith.
that's a perfect word for him. He's a wordsmith. I mean, the guy conjures up these words.
Yes.
And that of course we all know these words, but nobody uses them.
He's
and
a wonderful writer.
And if you watch a lot of the intros to the shows in the Twilight Zone, you're gonna see what I mean. The guy just sounds smart. Some people will need a freaking dictionary to understand what he's saying. That's how smart the guy is, you know. So he got his start writing for radio.
He wrote scripts. He wrote scripts for radios, the radio programs while he was in college. Sorry.
Exactly. No, it's okay. Go for it. That's what you're here for. To interrupt my drunkenness.
Yeah, he started early already.
I started early, yeah. So this is this big ass thing right here. This is like my second one. So this is gonna be a good show. I promise.
It's gonna be a great show.
Yes. But he did he, like I said, he got his start in radio and then he moved on to writing
television series and stuff.
television scripts. And he wrote a few famous ones, right? What were they?
Yeah, he got 2 Emmys. 2 Emmys, one in 55 and one in 57. One which I've never seen or anything, but you've seen the movie or the TV. It's
Requiem for a Heavyweight. Right?
Yes, Requiem for a Heavyweight.
That's probably his most famous script, other than other things I'm going to talk about later. Planet of the Apes. But yeah,
yeah, and
he did write a lot of stuff that is, you know,
award-winning
staples in pop culture.
Absolutely. Right. So yeah, he went from writing these TV shows, and he would constantly write scripts and everything, but he was always having a problem with CBS.
Yes.
Constant.
Yeah, they basically, every time he wrote something, you know, mind you, this is 1959, 1960. He was submitting scripts to the studios, and the studios were like, "Are you insane? We can't put this on television."
No, they kept rewriting, revising, rewriting.
He was in his own war. He was a World War II veteran, but he had his own war with the studios every single time he submitted a script, especially in the beginning.
Yeah, he was very socially conscious. That's the thing. Like everything that he wrote for the TV, he wanted to tackle racism and social injustices. And CBS, you know, that was just a little
taboo.
Yeah, so he was like, forget you guys. You know, I'm done. I'm going to write my own show. I'm going to do my own thing.
Yes, exactly. So he also, on top of the fact that he was writing for television, he was coming up with his own ideas and basically also in the works of going his own route as far as production goes. So that's how the Twilight Zone came to be. He opened up a studio called Cayuga Productions, which was named after his residence in Cayuga Lake.
Yeah,
and
near Syracuse. That was near Syracuse,
right,
New York.
Right, cold as hell. I don't know what lake, and nobody ain't swimming in that damn lake. I'll tell you that. Freeze your ass off. But
that's awesome.
Anyway.
But how did you get into the Twilight Zone?
That's a good question. So how did I discover? So the Twilight Zone was always on TV when I was a kid, but I never paid any attention to it. It was like above my head. I saw black and white, and I was like, boring old people shit. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
That's what you think when you're a kid. That's just, you know, that's just how we do. But anyway, this is how I came across and just became enamored with the show. I was at a New Year's party with my mom, one of those parties that
where she invites 50 freaking people.
Yeah, and they're all loud ass, you know, as you can probably tell by the way I talk, I'm Cuban.
Yeah.
So I grew up in a Cuban household, and my mom, you know, her definition of a small get together is like 500 people in a banquet hall. You know what I mean? So,
in the backyard, in his backyard.
In my backyard, yeah. There's so many people you don't even, and they're all saying hi to you, and they know you, and I'm like, who the hell are you? You know what I mean? That's the type of parties. Right. I'm like, who the hell is this guy? I just want to go to my room. But yeah, so we were at this party, and this one she actually did like in a banquet hall. It wasn't at my house.
Oh, okay.
And I remember I was like 19 or 20, so I was already driving, and I was like, you know, I bailed out of the party.
Oh, that's good. You got your own. Yeah, you got your own car. You're like, you know, I'm out. I
made an escape, and of course, it was after midnight. It was New Year's.
Yeah.
And ironically enough, which I don't know.
New Year's.
Yeah, New Year's Eve. That's it. It was a New Year's Eve party. But ironically enough, I didn't even know that they did this, and to this day, they still do this. We'll talk about that. But the Sci-Fi Channel was running a marathon of the Twilight Zone. And I remember turning on the TV, and I saw the guide, and it was like Twilight Zone, Twilight Zone, Twilight Zone, Twilight Zone, all the way across. And I'm like, oh, what the hell?
Yeah,
you know, so I sat there. I had a nice buzz going, you know, from New Year's. So I was like, I started watching it, and then I really would be lying to you if I remember the episode that was on when I first got home, but I do remember this episode called The New Exhibit, which I'll talk to you about later as one of my favorite episodes.
That's a good one.
That one came on, and that's one of those 4th season episodes that is 1 hour long. And I saw the episode, and I was like, wow, this is this is really fucking awesome. I can't believe how cool this is. So the next episode came on and I stayed on. And by the time I knew it was like 3 p.m. the next day, I hadn't slept.
Oh my gosh.
And it was going and I literally, passed out drooling on the bed,
Still,
watching the show
with the
all
Twilight
night
Zone
long.
on. Yeah.
And then I remember waking up and wanting to just go back to it and not do anything else. And
keep saying it. Just a full on marathon. That was like, what are they? Just
like binging, but short.
Binging before binging was a thing.
Yeah. And then right after that marathon ended, I remember like, I need to see every single one of these. And that's how it started for me.
That's
I
where
went
the
back to season
obsession
1.
began.
Yeah. Season 1, episode 1. And then I started, that was it for me.
Yeah.
I was hooked and I was forever going to be a lifelong fan of the show. What about you? When did you run into the show for the first
I was
time?
like you. I was young. Of course, you're young. My dad was watching it. My dad was a huge fan of that sci-fi thing. He was like Planet of the Apes, Star Trek. It was, everything like I just thought was dorky. And then it was, Twilight Zone, black and white. Wasn't interested. My dad watched, anything my dad watched, not really interested in it. But I remember whenever he would watch it, I would pass by and it all had these great actors. And one I do remember Mickey from Rocky.
Burgess Meredith.
Yes.
Yeah, absolute legend.
that voice I heard was Mickey. And I was like, what is he watching?
Legend. And Burgess Meredith is one of the 2 actors who did the Twilight Zone a lot of times. He did 4 episodes and only one other actor did 4 episodes, and that was Jack Klugman.
Oh, I like
who was
him.
Quincy, of course.
Quincy and The Odd Couple.
The Odd Couple,
I
right.
like that movie.
So you guys will definitely, if you know who Quincy is, that's who Jack Klugman is. He also did 4 episodes. But the Twilight Zone was known for, the actors were so hungry to be on the show because of the quality and caliber of the writing of the show. They just knew.
Yeah, you have gotten me into the Twilight Zone.
Oh, absolutely.
And we watch every single, now he does watch every single New Year's, no matter
what.
what.
I've been doing that since I was 19.
Yeah.
So it's been a long time. And they've never, not once. Yes. Not once have they ever not run the marathon, which is fantastic. It's like something, it's something I actually look forward to doing.
Oh, it's great. I do look forward to it. And I think Pluto, they do it on the Sci-Fi.
A lot of people started copycatting the Sci-Fi channel.
Like Pluto.
Cozy. There was this TV station called Cozy that all of a sudden started running marathons. Like, you fucking copycats.
I know. It's like, no, we're not ready yet. We're not ready yet.
It's kind of cool though, because Cozy was an over-the-air antenna, so you didn't need cable to get Sci-Fi to watch the show.
That's nice.
Which was kind of cool.
But the acting in it, that's what impressed me now that I'm older and seeing. It's just
phenomenal.
There's one thing he did say. He's like, the actors make you feel like they're really there. Like this is really happening to them. Like stellar.
I can't even put into words the performances on this show. Like these people make you feel things. Like you see people. You see good movies and good actors all the time, but because the show was lit so well, set so well,
written so well,
written above all, written so well, and then the caliber. Like these people did not accept anyone who did not have some serious acting chops.
Yeah,
and it's because of that this show has gone down in history. And unfortunately, a lot of like the younger generation, they know the name, but they've never really experienced the show. And I think anyone of any age, even 10 years old, watches one good episode, because there are stinkers, any other show.
Well, you will see once you get into the Twilight Zone, directors or writers and people such as like M. Night Shyamalan, they become
irrelevant.
Extremely, unremarkable.
I never was a big fan of M. Night Shyamalan anyway, just because I was already a huge fan of Rod Serling when he came out, and I'm looking at this guy,
this
I'm
isn't impressive.
Yeah,
like Jordan Peele.
You don't impress me much.
Like there's a lot of these directors, writers, and everything they're just not impressive. Once you watch and you listen, anything Rod Serling, it's just everybody is just way below par.
Yeah, Rod Serling was definitely in a league of his own.
Way before his time.
Yeah, his writing style, his choice of words.
It just reached out to people. He knew, he did not, he respected the intelligence of his audience.
Yes.
He did.
And like I mentioned before, it wasn't like they had to go out and try to find people. People were lining up outside the door to do this show.
Absolutely. And you can tell by the
caliber of actors. Yeah. We had James Best, who is Roscoe P. Coltrane.
Oh,
from the Dukes of
yeah, from the
Hazzard.
Dukes of Hazzard.
Yes.
And then, of course, everybody who's, like all of our parents and, all the women, they're all obsessed with Mr. Rodford Red.
Yeah, stupid ass Robert Redford. Horrible actor. Anyway, yeah.
God, that
then we
was-
had Mr. William Shatner.
Shatner.
Shatner was in 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Very memorable.
Very
One of them,
memorable.
Nightmare at 20,000 Feet. Probably one of the most famous episodes with the gremlin on the wing.
And then you got the other Star Trek guys who
Yes.
got a little flavor.
Hey now, George Takei.
Takei and Nemo.
With the deep voice, Japanese
He's
guy.
great.
Yeah, he's freaking awesome. I love George Takei.
Yeah, Edwin.
Edwin, who, he did a lot of Disney stuff, a lot of Disney voices. Very recognizable voice. Also a very recognizable face.
Yes.
He was in one of my favorite episodes, and there are many, 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 which is called One for the Angels, where he has to pitch.
Yeah.
He has to do a pitch to.
He's a sales guy. He's like,
Death.
yeah.
Because Death comes to visit him, and he's trying to save a little girl who's going to get taken by
Oh,
Death.
we're going to give you a lot of spoilers.
Yeah,
This
is a spoiler, 100% spoiler alert episode.
Spoiler
So
alert.
if you haven't seen the Twilight Zone, I still
Sorry.
want you to listen because it's from. But I'm not gonna say anything that's gonna make the show less enjoyable for you, even if you know what happens. There's so many things.
I
that
still
lead.
watch the shows and I'm like, oh, wait, I forgot how this one ends.
Yeah,
And I've seen it over
I've been
and
watching
over.
the show for the 30 years, and the show is still. Like there's still episodes where when I watch them, I find something new that I didn't see before, or I even learned something new.
Yeah.
So they also had Elizabeth Montgomery
Oh,
of
Bewitched.
Bewitched in the show,
And her mama.
and her mama Agnes Moorehead, who was a screen legend by the time that she did the Twilight Zone already. Very, very big resume already.
People probably don't know the name. I mean, people probably know the name, but don't know really who he is. But Buster Keaton, which was the silent movie guy.
Yeah, he's a legendary silent movie
And his episode was great.
actor.
They
Yeah.
did the silent movie thing.
Yeah, they did the silent movie thing with him as kind of like a tribute to him because he was such an amazing actor.
Burt Reynolds, another
Yes.
one. Burt Reynolds, another one.
Who doesn't know Burt Reynolds, right? Yeah, we got Burt Reynolds. We
Yes.
got Carol Burnett.
Love her,
Carol
Carol Burnett, and another famous female comedian, Clarissa Leachman.
Yeah, famous to you.
He's not sure. And I always have to remind
Yeah,
him.
I know who she is. Yeah,
once
yeah.
I say the woman from
Unless
Young.
she's sitting across from you at the dinner table, you probably won't know who she is.
Yeah, but you know her when you know her when you see her.
Yeah,
And then,
but we got Ron Howard, who is
that was the third. The third time he ever appeared on camera. Ron Howard.
little kid, little Opie.
Little
I think was his
Opie.
name
Yeah.
From, Leave It to Beaver, right?
No,
Happy Days was that? No, he was in Happy Days
the
too.
whistling guy. I don't know. But he was.
Oh, Andy
Andy
Griffith. Andy Griffith. Yes.
Oh,
yes.
God.
Tequila is definitely working, and I love it long time.
I totally forgot.
Yes.
But
Julie Newmar.
the Catwoman.
The Catwoman.
Woo-hoo.
Stunning woman.
Which is Mickey.
Yeah.
Burgess Meredith was the penguin.
Burgess Meredith was the penguin.
He
That's
was the
right. So we got
penguin.
2 Batman actors here.
Yes.
So on top of the fact that they attracted awesome
Great
actors,
acting.
they
Great
also
actors.
brought in amazing directors. Okay, so I'm just gonna name one: Richard Donner.
Yes, Richard Donner.
You guys have heard this name?
have to know Richard Donner.
Superman, yeah.
Yes.
He
Lethal
did
Weapon.
Superman, Lethal Weapon,
Goonies.
Goonies.
The Omen.
The Omen with Damien in it, of course. One of my favorite movies, and it's not a great movie in some people's opinion, but The Toy with
The
Richard
Toy.
Pryor
Richard Pryor and that
and
one
Scotty
kid
Schwartz
yes,
from The Christmas Story.
From Christmas Story.
So yeah, he
I love that
That
movie.
movie is fucking hilarious.
That
and
is a
I
great
love
movie.
It. Yes, I love it. I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it.
Scrooged, with
And
another
Scrooge with Mr. Bill Murray.
So Richard Donner has done
Peter Venkman.
He's got a lot under his belt. You know what I mean? And
Right.
he ended up directing 6 episodes from the Twilight Zone.
Yes, 6 episodes, which
And he
for
had
a
great
director to
things.
want to do 6 episodes of a show,
Yeah.
it tells you the character, the caliber of the show. They wanted to keep coming back, and the actors also wanted to keep coming back and doing. A lot of actors did multiple episodes of this show.
But Richard Donner had great things to say about Rod Serling.
That's right, he did. He used to say that because Rod Serling, if you look at every single bumper that he does, which is the intro to every episode, where he tells you kind of what the episode is about, he's smoking.
But he looks so cool. Like
He's always like very
now that-
relaxed and cool.
Yeah, smoking
And
is
he's
like cool. But back in the day, smoking was cool.
Yeah,
But
so,
yeah,
they didn't know. Well, they knew it would kill you, but nobody gave a shit. But anyway,
But yeah.
Richard Donner had a famous quote where he thought that Rod Serling was such. he was so out there. He was such a genius. He was just
Crazy
way
far out, he
above
said.
what anybody would expect. That he thought there was weed in his freaking
Cigarettes.
Cigarettes. He's like,
That's
that
what he
had to
said.
be grass.
That had to be grass.
You know,
He's
he
like,
was crazy with his crazy and far out ideas.
yes.
That totally just has to be grass.
Yes, and what he also said was when about the sets in the studios and everything. There was one thing that Richard Donner did say, and I had to actually write it down. He said that MGM treated every TV show like a feature. They put a lot of value into the look of the piece, and you can really
The
tell
look is
that.
everything with that show. I mean, it makes you feel.
Yeah.
Very few shows make you feel. Mm-hmm. You know, like The Sopranos makes you feel, I think. You know, that's a great, really beautifully written show as well. But this one was not only beautifully written, but the way that that it looks, okay? It's just hard to describe unless you sit there and watch it.
It puts you there. The people who live in the mansions and everything, we always say we wish we had that house.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
most of the episodes are set in like these beautiful houses or just extravagant places.
And it feels like the 60s. You know what I mean? That's the best part about it. It's just this classy feel. The women are in dresses, the men are in suits.
It gives you like a feeling of how simple life was back then. I don't know if that makes any sense, but
no cell phones.
there was there's no cell phone, there's no internet, there's no little shit on a tablet or anything like that. You know, there's just simplicity, and that is part of the beauty of the show. To me, it's just that's part of the art of the show.
Even on the first episode, we're going to go back to when I'm talking about the sets. I'm sorry, but the first episode in the set, if you watch the first episode, season 1, you will recognize the outside when he's walking around trying to find. You know, we'll go into the first episode, but right off the bat. It's what's the
Courthouse Square.
The Courthouse
Back to the
Square.
Future, you know, the clock tower, all that. If you guys watch the very first episode of the Twilight Zone,
it's so funny.
It literally
is.
It's almost identical to the place where Marty McFly spends half the movie in Back to the Future.
Yes. And a bunch of episodes are set in this set in the same.
They use that's in the Universal backlot. I've been there many times, and it still looks identical to the way it looks in the show. In 1959.
Yeah, they did a lot of MGM backlot stuff. They did a lot of westerns and stuff. Just
the MGM
backlot
was used for most episodes. The Universal backlot was used for a handful of episodes. Yeah. But the show was shot in MGM and Universal back and forth.
Yeah.
It happens to that. You know, speaking of Richard Donner.
Yes.
One last point on him. He directed one of my favorite. I don't want to say my very favorite because we have a nice list of favorites, which is coming next. But Come Wander With Me, which is probably it's kind of a weird episode,
Isn't
and it's
season 4.
Come Wander With Me is the next to last or last. I believe it's the next to last episode of season 5. It's almost like the very tail end of the show. Yeah,
didn't he have? Who's that actor?
Yeah, it's Gary Crosby, who was Bing Crosby's son.
Yes,
and he does a great job. He plays a character named Floyd Burney, who's like a hothead.
Yeah,
you know,
I'm Floyd Burney.
Floyd Burney. What do you mean?
Yeah. What do you mean?
It's like a rockabilly musician, and he's like
so full of himself.
He has a big head,
hilarious.
and he does an amazing job portraying this character. You know,
yes,
but to me, it has a beautiful song in it called "Come Wander With Me," sung by a lady named Bonnie Beecher.
Yeah, you could play that. You actually have that on. He has that on his set list in the car.
Yes,
and so every once in a while,
I do, and I know how to play it
beautiful.
I play it on my guitar all the time.
Yes, we play it for you, but then we get.
I get copyright strike. And I was actually thinking about grabbing the guitar and playing it so you guys can hear it. But anyway, just go watch the episode and you'll see what I mean. It's a beautiful song.
Another one you love is that movie or the episode 22.
22, yes, which is featured on my tattoo, which is going up on the screen right now.
Right here.
There it is. Yeah. So that's my Twilight Zone montage tattoo. For those of you listening on Spotify, I know you can't see the Twilight Zone montage tattoo, but that's why you need to go to YouTube.
Apple.
Go to the mighty YouTube.
Yes.
Look for our channel, Tequila Gringa and the Jimmy. Tequila Gringa. Did I say Tequila Gringa?
Yes.
Shit. We're not even gonna edit this out.
Yeah,
this is
that
gonna
was
stay.
great.
It's Tequila Jimmy and the Gringa, or Tequila. Yeah,
Tequila Jimmy
and the Gringa. That's the name of the channel.
I'm so happy.
Shit.
He started before we started recording. So
I started a little early today because it's Saturday.
It's a party. It's a party. And me, I have my cinnamon
she
and
has some
almond.
old people shit
No,
tea there.
it's cinnamon almond cream.
That's just for senior
tea.
citizens.
It's tea. I'm having tea.
Tea. She's
Tea
having
in a-
tea.
In a fancy cup.
Tea.
In a fancy cup. I like my cup.
Fucking cup.
It's not Tuesday.
It's not
It's not Tuesday. Anyways.
Anyways, let's talk. I want to talk a little bit about
22.
my favorite
Yes.
episodes and kind of what they entail.
Yes.
Very briefly, because I know this podcast is probably going to be long already.
Yeah, it's going to be
So,
very long. 'cause
I
we
don't want to talk
love
too
the
much about
Twilight
individual episodes. Just know that the show kicks ass and you need to go watch it. It's actually right now, you could, if you have Prime Video, you can watch the entire thing for free. So if you don't have Prime Video, go buy it, you cheap bastard.
Zone. What do you?
Just
Yes.
joking.
Yeah.
Just joking.
Amazon.
Prime Video, yes.
Yeah.
That's what I
Amazon
said.
Music.
Yeah.
Yes.
Prime Video, not Amazon Music.
Amazon Music. We're on Amazon.
Amazon Music is music. We're talking about video here, and this is called Prime Video. Amazon Music plays music, and The Twilight Zone is a TV show.
Okay. Yeah. We're on YouTube.
Yes. All right. Very good. Next, so yeah, let's talk about our favorite episodes.
Okay.
I have two favorites. Okay, one of them is called 22, and that's what I just showed you in the tattoo. The lady there that looks like kind of like a nurse.
Yes.
She is played by a lady called Arlene Martell, who was also one of the aliens that it was actually Captain Kirk that banged her as an alien. You know, because Captain Kirk would bang any alien that he'd visit different planets on Star Trek.
Oh, she was on Star Trek?
Yes.
Oh.
And she got banged by Captain Kirk.
Yeah, he was Casanova.
Yeah, he was banging everybody.
Oh my God.
So
It's true. It's true.
Exactly.
It's true. That's what Star Trek was.
Anyway,
Anywho.
yeah,
so she's a very, very, very well-known
beautiful lady.
actress.
Yes. And anyway, she also did a bunch of other. She was also in What You Need.
Oh, that was a
very
good
brief
one.
clip, and then she also did a bunch of little TV shows here and there.
Yeah. You also like the new exhibit, which that's the one with the serial killers.
Yeah, it's this guy who basically works at a museum full of wax figures of serial killers.
He's the guy from Psycho.
Yes, the guy who falls down the stairs, right?
guy
Who
who
gets
falls
killed
down-
down the stairs. Yeah, the big famous.
Yes. Oh, I love
Yeah,
that.
same guy. And he basically works at a museum full of wax serial killers, and the museum is going to close down, and they were going to do away with the wax
And he's
figures.
like, no, I love
And he was like the
them."
curator for
Yeah.
these. He took care of these wax figures for years.
Yeah.
So he decides that he wants to take them home because.
And this is one of the hour episodes. That's
Yes.
what it is. It's
Yes,
one of
this
the
is a
hour.
season
This
4
is the
episode.
one. Yeah.
This is one of
season
those.
4.
Yeah, which I don't like many of those. There's another one called Just Bell that I like. But anyway, the new exhibit, he takes the figures home, and then he has to he puts them in his basement, but because they're made of wax, he has to
Oh my God,
invest in an air conditioner and run the
air
AC all day. So
conditioner
like, of
all
course,
the
the power
time.
bill goes up.
And his wife is like,
his wife's wigging out like, what the hell are you doing with these damn figures?
And he doesn't go to work. He doesn't have a job.
He just sits there and watches over the figures all day.
Get your ass to work.
Long story short, the figures are all like Jack the Ripper, very famous serial killers from back in the day, and they start killing. And I won't tell you any more than that. But they do come to life.
They do come to life.
And they're very well done, actually, because you know why they're so well done? Because they're people acting like wax figures.
They're real people.
Yeah, so they're actually actors, and they're not really wax figures. And you're like, damn, that wax figure look real.
Yes.
But it's not a wax figure.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's one that we love, both of us, that we love. The Invaders.
The Invaders. That's the one with Agnes Moorehead.
Oh, I love
who was
that
in Dora on
one.
Bewitched, the mother, who was always popping up and bothering,
Yes, Samantha.
Samantha. Yeah,
Yeah, I love
Elizabeth
her.
Montgomery.
Yeah, now that's a great plot twist, and we'll go into like what has great plot twist. But that one, The Invaders, is so good. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, the aliens.
Yes, and now what makes this so incredible, in my opinion, is that she is the only actress, and she's the only person starring in this episode.
Yes.
So
and I
it's
don't think she says a
all-
word, does she?
No, I don't believe so. I think it's all physical
It's all
acting.
physical acting, yeah.
All physical acting, and it's so good.
It's
and
a
at
great,
the end,
wonderful twist.
when you find out because the aliens come down and they're the invaders,
Yeah.
and they come down and they're torturing her and stuff, and
Well,
she's
they
just
keep bugging
freaking
her,
out.
yeah.
They keep bugging her, and and so then all of a sudden she goes in her garage or outside or something, and she sees this spaceship, and she just
That's one of the episodes that Rod Serling was kind of pissed at the studios about because
they were real
he
tight
really
on his
wanted
budget.
like a big budget to make this an epic episode, especially because Agnes Moorehead was in it.
Such a great actress.
They had already maybe she took all the money, which is no budget because she was expensive, back then.
Yes.
But
They couldn't really afford any like sci-fi. They couldn't afford any little sci-fi special effects.
right, there was no money for that. So
And
they
it's
wound
called
up,
The Invaders.
they wind up using little wind up toys but it still kicks ass. Like,
It's
you
still-
don't even care that they're using a wind up toy, even though it's obvious that they're using a wind up toy.
I know it's just still a great episode, and we don't want to give away the end.
No.
But I'm not going to spoil that one. But when you see the spaceship and what it says on the spaceship, that you just
Yeah, you're like, whoa, that is cool.
oh my god,
And it's kind of
yeah.
unexpected, especially if you've never seen it, and the first time you see it, you're like, whoa, I didn't see that coming. It's one of those,
Another plot twist
Right.
is another one of our mutual favorites is To Serve Man.
To serve man,
you know
of
what?
course, another one.
I like the alien ones.
Yes.
But this one we might have to spoil for people.
Yes, because to serve man. So the aliens come, and of course, to serve man. We're here to help you, to serve you.
Yeah, to serve
aid
you.
to give you things.
And we come in peace.
We come in peace. Where have we heard that before?
Oh, Mars Attacks.
Right. So,
but
yeah.
they do say literally, we're here to help you.
Yeah, we're here to help you
help
and give you some of our advanced technology because you guys are way behind us. But
And they're walking around with this book.
Yes.
And it's got this like cryptic, different,
So, of course-
hieroglyphics or some alien, language.
yeah, and the government takes it, and just like we have our experts,
Yeah, and they're
they
like,
start to decipher the book,
yes.
and it winds up being a cookbook.
Yes. Because
So to serve man
to serve man
is to serve man on a platter.
on a platter. And all these people are going into the spaceship thinking that they're going to be living the sweet life and
Right.
these aliens
It's kind of like
serve
Cocoon,
them.
when they're leaving in the boat and they're all
Yes.
going for eternal life. You guys seen the movie Cocoon?
Yes.
That's the kind of vibe these people had. They were
Woo!
they were doing
They're like,
the
"Oh, yeah, we're
conga
gonna live-
line into the freaking
Yeah,
spaceship.
we're going to be
all
living the
happy.
good life. Yeah, living their best life. And all of a sudden, this woman comes out of nowhere and she's like, don't get on the ship. It's a cookbook.
It's a cookbook.
It's a cookbook. Oh, I love that. So great.
Yeah.
I
To
love
serve man, it's a cookbook.
It's a cookbook. Now,
Yeah.
my favorite episode is it was considered the worst episode. Wah, wah.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, and it's like literally Rod Serling had to apologize to Carol Burnett for the show.
He thought it was total ass. Yeah.
But I think I really loved it. I loved the feel. I loved that it had a laugh track. It had a laugh track to it. It had Carol Burnett, and it had that feel of It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah, it did.
The Christmas movie, where it's an angel comes down and she's living like she's missing the rent. She's friends with all the kids. She's just kind of like a screw up.
Yeah,
just
and he has to come and he's
wants
trying
to
to
help
earn
her.
his wings.
Yeah,
That's
he's
the
trying to
whole-
earn his wings.
kind of like in It's a Wonderful Life.
And so he gives her the greatest life, rich beyond, and all these rich friends and everything great. And then she goes to her apartment and nobody's like friends with her and stuff. And she's like, well, this isn't great. I don't like this. And he's like, well, give me and she wants her old life
And
back.
she's one of the best.
That's my
physical,
favorite.
Yeah, she's one of the best physical comedian actresses from that era too. Carol Burnett was like the Jim Carrey
Yes.
of our era. She was
Yes.
just very physical, and she didn't care about making the like
It's a good
Lucy, like
plot.
Lucille Ball.
Oh,
kind of,
Lucille Ball. Yeah, just like that. She's
very
very
similar.
physical.
Yeah, to Lucille Ball.
But there was so many plot twists. Many plot twist
The plot
shows.
twists are probably the very best aspect of the Twilight Zone because after you've seen a few episodes and you start watching the rest of them that something fucked up is gonna happen.
Yes, like okay, if a person is a bad person, on
They
the
gonna
show,
get what's coming to
they're
them.
going to get what's coming to them. You
Exactly.
cannot be bad. You cannot be a bad person. This is kind of why it teaches you how to be a good person. He just he was a very good, like, you do this, and if you do this, you're bad and you're going to get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, some of the episodes, let's talk about some of the episodes that had the biggest plot twists.
Yeah, besides To Serve Man.
Well, To Serve Man, yeah. To Serve Man, we talked about. There's a very famous one called Time Enough at Last with, again, Burgess Meredith.
Burgess Meredith, this poor guy. This is one of like the
Mickey.
sad. This is one of those sad.
You're gonna eat lightning and you're gonna crap thunder.
I love it.
Yes. But yeah, that episode, Time Enough at Last, is about a guy named Mr. Bemis, right?
Yep, Mr. Bemis.
Yeah,
and
Mr.
Mr. Bemis he's got these like, pop, what is soda bottle?
He's got these fucking Mr. Magoo binocular glasses. The guy can't
he can't see
anything. He can't see
anything. And all he wants to do is read.
Yeah.
And his boss is like, you can't read on our work time. And his wife is like, you're not going to read no more.
His wife, for some reason, was like fucking like giving, like he was watching porn and shit when he was trying to read.
You know what?
Poetry.
I bet you like forever he's been reading and without noticing her. And that's why she was like mean about it. But she was mean.
Yeah, well, fuck her.
So then he
There's
goes.
only so much of that bitch you can take.
Oh, stop. Anyway, so he goes to work and he goes down to the vault, trying to get away from everybody. And he grabs his little reading material because he's so excited to read. And all of a sudden, like.
Well, yeah, the end of the world comes, basically.
The end of the world comes and he's
like
safe.
Like a nuclear bomb or something.
He's safe because he's in the bank and he comes out and he's like, I get to read. And nobody can say nothing about nothing. And he sits
he's the
down.
only guy left. And he's like, it's just me. And then he runs into the public library in shambles, but the books are like intact.
And which is so weird.
Which is kind of weird, right? When there's an atomic bomb, everything's destroyed, but the books.
But the books and the guy who likes to read the books. And so, yeah, he goes and I'm going to spoil it. He breaks his glasses.
Yeah.
And he can't read.
So he's basically the last guy on earth with a bunch of books, which to him is like the only thing in this world he ever wanted to do. I felt
so bad for this man. Like, you feel it when you're watching it at the end and he's like, and they're gone. And you're like, he didn't even get to read like a paragraph into anything. He just wah, wah. Another one is The Little People. That one's cool. The Little People. That's another like
that's
alien,
a great one. Yeah,
like out in space.
These two guys land on some foreign planet. And they encounter a group of like little people, like exactly what it says.
Like
the name of the
tiny,
episode.
like teeny
people.
people. You can hear
one of them is like kind of got a straight head on his shoulder, but the other astronaut is like
such an
he's like an egomaniac, and he's like, you know what? These people are little. We're gonna rule these guys. We're gonna be their god.
Yeah.
So he starts like commanding these little people to do things, and if they don't, he literally squashes them like.
Oh
a
my
bug.
God, he did. He was like he just squashed. He was a horrible man. Horrible.
He was
man.
very bad. He was very bad. But again, that plot twist is, he makes them do all these things throughout the episode, and at the very end of the episode, spoiler alert,
he looks up.
He looks up, and there's these bigger people than him grabbing him. So there's always a bigger fish. We've all heard that.
Yes,
that's the moral.
Yeah, the moral
of this episode.
Of the story.
It's like, don't be the big dog because there's always a bigger one.
There's always a bigger one, and they're going to eat you up.
Right.
They're going to eat you up.
That's exactly what happened in that episode.
Yeah. See, like I said, bad people get theirs.
Yes. Another one is a stop at Willoughby.
Oh, the stop at Willoughby with the...
Yes, Willoughby. So this guy gets on a train, and one of the guys who, he's one of the servants on the train, I would call him, and he keeps just saying, Willoughby, next stop is Willoughby. Next stop is Willoughby. And this guy's... So every time that the train stops is Willoughby, it's this really beautiful place, right?
Yeah.
But
again,
here goes the plot twist, and here goes the spoiler alert. It winds up being that Willoughby is a funeral home at the end of the episode, and that's where the guy is headed.
It's. I think everybody. I was just about to do the do 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 do. I think everybody knows what that means.
Of course.
That's a Twilight Zone thing.
Yeah, that's the big plot twist.
Another one was the Midnight Sun.
The Midnight Sun. Yeah,
the Midnight Sun.
I'll explain this one to you in a few sentences. So the Midnight Sun. This lady has a really, really bad fever, right? And it's because and it's really hot. The whole episode it's really hot. Everybody's sweating, and the sun is getting closer to the earth.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It is like starting to melt things. Like shit in the apartment is melting.
Everybody's hot.
Everybody's sweating, boiling hot.
And then all of a sudden she wakes
up and it's a fever.
She has a fever, and
that's why the whole thing is a twist, because and then on top of the fact that she has a fever, there's actually an Arctic lizard going on.
The lizard going outside.
So it's like the complete
opposite of what
actually was happening in the episode.
It was very cool. There's so many. There are so many plot twists. We can go on and on forever. But Invaders is definitely my favorite all the time.
Yes, and.
Because I'm not going to ruin. But
speaking of the Invaders,
you have a bobblehead.
It is toy time with Tequila Jimmy.
But
before toy time, I need to take a sip of this tequila. Hold on a second.
Yeah, make sure he gets a toy time and early this time.
Since we were talking about the Invaders, I'm going to bring out the Invaders first.
This is awesome.
This is
I-
my Invaders bobblehead.
It's great. So this is what the wind up.
The wind up in the show, yeah, where that Agnes Moorehead encounters at the end. This is what he looks like.
Yeah, we're showing
And he
Jimmy's
basically, they
toys
wound
right
him
now.
up and he would walk just like a regular wound up toy.
Yeah, it was great
From the
though.
50s,
But
you
this
know.
is great. This bobblehead is great. He
Yeah,
loves
it's a really cool
bobblehead.
bobblehead. And since it's toy time and we're talking about the Twilight Zone, I will show you my Twilight Zone attire.
He's got it's from
Eye of the Beholder. Another one of the most famous episodes,
Got-
which I'm sure we'll cover in a minute.
Oh, absolutely.
But
and then you got some
speaking of
carded.
Eye of the Beholder,
You got some
here is the nurse from Eye of the Beholder, made by Biff Bang Pow. All these things are made by Biff Bang Pow. It looks like they acquired the license to the Twilight Zone for toys. So this is like an 8-inch nurse from the Twilight Zone, and she is from Eye of the Beholder, like I said, where beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Because if you didn't look like a pig face like that,
Yes.
you were ugly.
You were weird.
You were one ugly motherfucker.
Yeah, the whole entire episode, she's got her face all bandaged up the whole entire time, and these people are like, "Oh, I don't know if we're gonna be able to make you look beautiful."
Yeah, and then when
I don't know.
they unwrap her, she's beautiful.
She's beautiful.
Drop dead, gorgeous, perfect 10.
And the
they're like,
doctors and
"Damn, you
everybody,
ugly."
and then all the doctors and everybody's have these like distorted faces. Like,
Yeah, they're all these big face. Their faces are sideways.
Yeah,
like the last thing you would
great.
ever want to consider as beautiful, but
That's a memorable
That's why
moment.
beauty is in the eye of the beholder,
That's
because they all
definitely-
thought beauty.
I think
they
they
were beautiful.
I think they did an SNL episode about it or something. It's
They've
one of
done
those
so many things about it.
memorable moments. Another memorable moment would be the nightmare. Oh,
1 second though,
Oh.
before you even go there.
Oh, my goodness.
I have one more toy to show.
which one? Which one? I'm so sorry.
The Canimate
Oh, the Canimate
from To Serve Man.
To Serve Man.
That's right. This is that episode where it's a cookbook.
It's a cookbook.
That's right. This one right here. This is the Canimate
love
that
that.
came and he said, "I come in peace." They actually in the show they spoke telepathically. They didn't. They never spoke with their mouth.
The guy in it is from
Yes,
007.
James Bond.
Yes,
Jaws.
he was
If you guys
Jaws.
ever saw the James Bond movies with Roger Moore specifically, because
Yeah, yeah.
Roger Moore was a James Bond that had him in.
Yeah.
So if you watch any of his movies, if you remember Jaws, he had this metal grill. You know, he made the grill cool before it was cool. That's the same guy in that Canimate suit.
Yeah, he was great. That was
All right.
like a definitely memorable moment.
Yeah,
I love
that was the.
memorable
And
moments.
let's get into memorable moments from the Twilight Zone. And these memorable moments are things that, you know, the Twilight Zone is kind of known for.
Like when you hear the Twilight Zone, these are the things that
these
first come
images,
to your
like, pop
head.
into your
like
head,
the
yeah.
Eye of the Beholder.
Eye of the
That's first.
Beholder, right? When you see this guy right here, anybody sporting this pig nose,
You know right away.
you know right away
That's
that's
Twilight
the Twilight Zone.
Zone.
You know, there's no mistaking that that's the Twilight Zone. Another one is when you see the picture of that gremlin that was on the wing with William Shatner
Yes,
in
Nightmare.
Nightmare at 20,000 feet.
The
That's-
Shatner one.
Yes, that's another one that's very memorable. The face of the devil in an episode called The Howling Man, which is about a man who is warned that this guy that is imprisoned, the guy that's in prison is acting like he's just a hobo, kind of like I'm harmless. I don't know why they're keeping me hostage.
Everybody up there is crazy.
He's telling him everybody's crazy,
He's
and
like,
they're
all
telling him
nutty.
that's the devil. Leave him locked up.
Yeah, they're like, don't do nothing. Just leave him alone down there. That's
Yeah.
the devil. Don't listen to him. So of course, the person doesn't listen to him. They listen to the
And
devil's
he
lies.
winds up falling for it, releasing the devil into society.
And that's another.
That's another memorable
Yes.
episode. We'll talk about another memorable one featuring, again,
Yes.
the legendary Burgess Meredith.
Ah,
And that's the obsolete man.
that one's a good one. That also.
He's a librarian
Yes.
in the show. And basically, the government is trying to filter out people or careers that are obsolete.
Obsolete. And
And
his.
they deemed him obsolete for being a
Yes.
librarian.
And that was just horrible. Yeah, obsolete. And then they just be done with you.
Yeah, so it winds up, I'll give you another really quick spoiler about that episode is, people who were obsolete in the show had to die in one
Yeah.
way or another. So he decided that he wanted to die by blowing up in his apartment with a bomb. And he brings in one of the government guys to give him like his final interview type of thing.
Yeah.
But he winds up locking the guy in the room with him. And then, they're televising this because they want to televise his death.
Yeah.
And on top of that, the guy just starts acting like, a total coward, like scared to die, while Burgess Meredith is like,
I'm
"Hey,
ready.
Man, I'm ready to go.
I'm ready to go, bro.
And it just shows that he's not the one that was obsolete. The obsolete guy was the guy who was running the
weak.
government, super weak, made of
weak.
nothing. He's like, he's faced with
Crying.
death,
Oh.
and he's sitting there cowering like a baby while Burgess Meredith knows he's gonna die, and he's taking it like a man.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That was a very great episode.
The Living Doll.
The Living Doll who inspired
Chucky.
Thank you very much.
But
That's
yeah,
right.
we always laugh
Talkie
so hard
Tina.
when we see that Talkie
I'm
Tina.
Talkie Tina, and I don't like you.
I love it. We laugh. We laugh. I'm Talkie Tina, and I'm going to kill you.
I'm gonna kill you.
I love that.
She was the first evil doll.
She was the first evil doll.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, she was the first time they portrayed like a toy.
That was
the
a
Twilight
kid's-
Zone had a few. They made it a theme where like dolls would be evil. Like they had one called Caesar and Me,
Yeah, that
where
was,
they had a ventriloquist with a puppet who was kind of taking over the show. Like he became
Yes.
the guy controlling the guy who was controlling the puppet.
Yes.
If that makes any sense. So yeah, they like to do things like the Twilight Zone covers so many facets of weird shit that is that you'll find something that you relate with. You know what
and
I
if
mean?
you guys watch, we really do welcome you to just let us know what your favorite episode was in the
Absolutely.
comments.
I would love to know.
I would
like
love to
the ones
know.
that resonate with you.
Yeah.
Like if you see one that is like, damn, that's fucking awesome. I would love to hear about it. Comment down below on YouTube. And if you're on
Yes.
Spotify, go to YouTube and comment.
Or any of the streaming services. He's so funny. Okay, but yeah, there was definitely, speaking about Chucky and the Living Doll, there was a whole bunch of
That
other
Twilight-
movies that totally they were inspired or just completely
They
ripped them off.
inspired so many things.
Or they just ripped them off altogether.
Ripped them off. Or I wouldn't call it a rip off because I really thought they were giving an homage to them.
Yeah, like I think like Chucky with the Living Doll.
Yeah,
and
like
then
they
Mannequin.
know they didn't come up with that shit.
The Mannequin, the movie Mannequin with Kim Cattrall and Andrew McCarthy. That one goes after because there's an episode that I love called After Hours.
The After Hours.
Yeah,
yes.
where the woman is, she's going up to buy something and she's going to a floor that doesn't exist. And she just doesn't understand. But it turns out that she is a mannequin.
She's a
and has to
mannequin, yeah.
return.
And they all take turns like going out.
Yeah.
They get like a week out.
And she just, she stayed. But
for
anyways,
those of you guys who've seen the 80s movie Mannequin, that is
it's basically the same thing. Anyways.
Exactly. Another one that inspired one of my favorite segments from an awesome horror movie that I love so much, which we will cover on this podcast, I promise you.
Oh, absolutely.
Is Creep Show 2, The Hitchhiker. Thanks for the ride, lady.
Thanks for the ride. Lady. Oh, I love that.
Yeah. It's an episode called The Hitchhiker, which is very it's the same thing
it's
where
the
the
same
guy's
thing.
a dead hitchhiker.
And
you
he's
know?
just torturing and torturing.
And he's torturing the lady driving the whole time. She runs into him everywhere she goes.
Yes.
We talked about To Serve Man, how
just like Mars Attacks.
inspired Mars Attacks, where we come in peace and then they blow everything up. In this case, they fucking eat you.
Exactly. And
But
then,
it's
of
no
course,
different.
I think everybody's seen the Poltergeist
Little
movie
Girl.
Poltergeist.
There's an episode called Little Girl Lost.
Yes.
And if
just
you
like
watch
it.
Little Girl Lost, it's about this girl who like goes into another dimension through a wall,
And her
you hear her
parents-
voice, and her
Yeah.
parents are trying to find her.
And he's talking, they're talking. It's the same thing as a poltergeist, the same thing as
You
a
can't
poltergeist.
help but think, you just immediately think of Carol Ann.
Yes, exactly. When I'm watching that episode, I remember
In
watching it
Poltergeist.
before you even told me. And I was like,
Yeah.
hey, wait a minute.
I
This
knew
is
it,
just
yeah.
like Poltergeist. And you're like, oh, yeah, that's
Exactly.
right. I forgot to tell you, Gringa. This
Yeah.
is just like Poltergeist.
And you know what? We've named a few of the shows that have inspired movies and other TV shows, but we by no means have named all of them.
No.
Unfortunately, this podcast is not 10 hours long.
Oh my God, there's
'cause that's how long I
100.
could go on.
Yeah, there's
about it.
156, 159
Yeah,
episodes.
156 episodes.
156
Yeah.
episodes. So we could be here all day about which ones
All
we
day.
love, but we had to
Absolutely.
really, really cut it, down,
Yeah,
just
of
to give our
course.
favorites and see what just those standout episodes were.
Yeah.
Because we really want to invite you to watch the Twilight Zone if you haven't.
More than anything, I want you to watch the Twilight Zone. If you sit through this
Yes.
podcast, I hope that you will go and watch the show if you're not familiar with it. Even though I
Yes.
know a lot of you, even tuning in here, are familiar with it to some extent. I don't
Yeah.
expect you to be like completely immersed in it or enamored with it like me, where I sleep with it.
Oh yeah, he knows that.
That's my side bitch.
He knows like the episode names like that. I mean, really, he just knows them
like
right
I could
off
name,
the bat.
She'll name something and I'll know the name of the episode. That's pretty fun.
100%.
Not that you should ever get like that. That's
Yeah,
fucking
but
pathetic.
he's no, he's not pathetic. He's just I would call a super fan. He's a Twilight
Avatar,
Zone,
yeah.
super fan.
I'm not obsessed with a lot of things in this life, but
But the
I think the
Twilight Zone,
Twilight Zone
yeah.
would qualify
Oh, yeah.
as an obsession because
it's every single New Year's. You do not do
not only
anything,
New Year's, like randomly,
you-
I need to watch it. Like last
Yeah.
night, I was watching like
Yes.
episodes till 2 a.m, and
Yeah.
it was like I was glued to the TV, like
Yeah.
like I'd never seen it before.
It's so good. Yeah, if you guys are wanting to watch it, we watch it. We catch it on Amazon Prime.
Right, Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime, that Freeview or something like that. It's
Right.
always on.
It's there.
But yeah,
you guys,
we
if
catch
you have
it.
Prime, if you don't have it, go subscribe because they ship you shit for free and it's totally worth it.
I remember when the movie, they had a Twilight Zone movie. My mom used to watch the movie. She really enjoyed the movie, and my
Yeah.
dad liked the show. But my mom,
I was
liked,
not a huge fan of the movie.
It was cute.
It was a
I
good.
liked it
It wasn't
'cause-
a bad movie.
No,
okay?
Dan Aykroyd was in it. In
But
the
when you
beginning,
put it
was
next to the TV
hilarious.
show, you're like, why am I watching this?
No, it's funny. I like the part. Okay, in the beginning, it's Dan Aykroyd and everything, and he's
Yeah,
in the
I
car.
love that.
He's
Yeah.
and he goes, "You want to see?" And he's talking to his friend. I forget. His friend is a famous actor. I forget.
I
who
forget
it is.
who it is, but I do know
But
that's such.
He
who
goes.
was it?
I forget. Anyways, but he goes like this to him. They start naming off their favorite Twilight Zone episodes, and then all of a sudden he's like, "You want to see something really scary?
Yeah.
You want to see something really scary?" And then he turns around and turns into this monster.
Yeah,
but
it's
they
so
did the
cool.
segments, and the one that they did was the Nightmare.
Nightmare at 20,000 feet.
At 20,000 feet with John Lithgow.
Yeah.
And that was a great performance by John Lithgow.
Yeah, he actually did
That
it
was
justice.
a
And for me to
really-
say that he did it justice, you know.
Yeah, because he didn't like the movie, but
Yeah.
you like John Lithgow's
I
performance.
don't want to say I didn't like the movie. I just
You prefer the show.
The show is so much better
It's
than
black
the
and
movie.
white. It's
so
this-
if you have watched all of the TV show and then you
Yeah.
watch the movie,
Yes.
you're gonna be like, I don't like this movie.
Right.
But if you watch
it's
the movie
good.
first, it's a good movie.
But John Lithgow's good. He's
he
good.
is
in
good.
it.
He is good. I
He's
love
good in
John Lithgow.
And I think what they did now, see, he was from that TV show Third Rock from the Sun.
Yes.
And they were kind of assuming that everybody knows Twilight Zone just because it's been around forever. It's so
yeah,
popular.
most people do.
Yeah, so one episode on the Third Rock, they had Shatner featured as like their grand poobah or something like that. So when he gets off the plane, he's telling John Lithgow, they're like, "Oh, how was your ride and everything?" And he's like, "Oh my God, you're never gonna guess. I looked out the window and I saw something on the plane, on the wing,
That was awesome.
And then what did John Lithgow say?
It's like the same thing happened to me.
It was perfect. It was
Yeah.
perfect. And if you haven't seen the Twilight Zone, like you'd miss it, but it was just
Yeah,
what a
if
great.
you're a that was
was-
actually a Twilight Zone like pun put in the show,
which was
for people who
perfect.
know the Twilight
and it
Zone.
made us die. That cracked me up.
That was so funny. That was so funny because it's like, Shatner's like, there was this gremlin on the wing, and John Lithgow's like, the same thing happened to me.
The
And
same
it's,
thing
and it's
happened to
because,
me.
it happened to both of them.
It happened to the both of them. It
Right.
was
He was in the
such-
movie, he was in the show.
Oh, so that was funny. That was funny.
That was awesome.
They tried to
love
do
it.
the TV show a couple times again, but I didn't like
any of the reboots either. Yeah, so
No.
the Twilight Zone, the original show aired from 1959 to 1964.
Yeah.
And then, of course, when something is successful and good, you can't help but the studios wanting to make more money off of it. So
They're gonna
in
try again.
1985, which was right at the middle of our childhood, I would
Right,
say.
yeah, right after the
in
Twilight Zone movie.
1985 was a fucking awesome year. But
Yeah, it
anyway,
was.
1985, they released the very first reboot of the show. Again, they did
I
a few of the
remember on
episodes.
TV, but
I know they did It's a Good Life again, which is the one with the kid who would wish shit into the cornfield.
Yeah, they did the Good Life in the Twilight Zone movie too,
Yeah, they
which
did.
was really good. Oh, the kid from Hogan's family.
Yes.
That's who
That's
played
right.
it.
That's right.
Oh, it was so
That's
good.
right. That is him.
Yeah, and he turned that's the movie's good.
Yeah. So in 1985, they basically did a lot of new stories, of course.
Yeah.
And they also redid a lot of the old stories.
It was
in
caca.
the 1985 shows.
Caca.
Poo poo, poo
It
poo,
was-
doodle brown, doodle brown.
It was Kaga. It was Kaga.
Yes.
Another one was they tried to do it again in 2002. You told me about it with what's his face?
Forrest Whitaker.
Yeah, I never seen that. I never
Yeah,
even
the
seen
lazy
that.
eye dude
Yeah.
who takes Dayquil and NyQuil at the same time. My favorite.
Have you ever
meme.
seen that meme?
Have you ever seen that meme? That's
Oh
my
my
favorite
God,
fucking
Forrest-
meme ever. It's
okay,
like
you guys
when
know
you
Forrest
take
Whitaker.
Dayquil and
Yeah.
NyQuil at the same time. And I'm gonna post the meme right now.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you guys can see it.
Right here.
It's right here. Tell me that guy doesn't look like he took both Dayquil and
Oh
NyQuil
my
at
God,
the same
you're
time.
so horrible. I
But
swear you're
anyway,
ridiculous.
I love
That's
Forrest
funny.
Whitaker.
Oh,
I
he's
love
great.
Forrest Whitaker. Yeah, he
Yeah.
was also in one of the Star Wars shows. Was it?
Oh no, me. I'm
No,
like,
he was in this movie. In one of those Ray movies. Those
yeah, but I
fucking
know-
stupid movies.
Fast Times at Ridgemont High for me.
Yeah, no, he was in the
was
new Star Wars movies. I know that he was one of those guys.
He was the big. Oh, anyways,
But anyway, he was like playing like the Rod
We're
Serling
so
role.
bad
He was playing like the Rod Serling role in
the reboot
Twilight,
in Twilight.
in that Twilight Zone. This one came out in 2002. So from 1985, the next time they tried it was 2002.
And then
Forrest Whitaker, that failed and flopped hard as hell. It didn't really do well.
And then they tried it again for some reason.
In 2019, Jordan Peele.
And I haven't seen it either.
Yeah, I think I watched the first one and that was enough for me.
Yeah, we're just spoiled.
The
We're
thing
spoiled.
is that, again, if you watch the original show,
And if the original show
why
is
the hell
available,
would you want to watch this shit?
There's no reason. I would watch the original over and over again, whether before I watch.
It just doesn't make sense to
these
watch the Jordan
redos.
Peele version.
Yeah, it's Rod. Because the thing is Rod
not-
Serling didn't write them.
Talk about fucking
Rod
wasting your time.
Yeah.
That's a waste of fucking. If
No.
you're gonna watch that shit, please go
Watch
to
the
Amazon
original.
Prime and watch the fucking original show because that's total bullshit.
Yeah, and watch the ones that we talked about.
Yes.
Talked about here today.
Specifically.
Specifically,
Yes.
go now, not now
Yeah.
when we're done.
No, not now.
Not now when we're done.
Yes.
but
You know what? I want to talk about other influence of the Twilight Zone.
Yeah,
okay?
besides movies and
movies and
TVs.
TV. They've inspired other things. One big one, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I live in Florida and I've been going here since I was a child.
Yes.
There is a ride at Hollywood Studios, previously known as MGM Studios, and that's what I will forever remember it as MGM Studios. They have a ride there called the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror. And basically, it's one of those elevator rides that goes up and down, up and down.
Yeah.
It gives you the butterflies in
I
your
know.
stomach.
I can't wait. I haven't gone yet.
It's a great ride.
But I'm gonna go.
Yeah, it's
We're
a great
gonna
ride.
go.
They actually opened it up here and also in Disneyland in California, but it's since in California been replaced by the Guardians of the Galaxies.
Oh, we were
Right.
watching. There was a little thing on the Disney Channel, I think, talking about the Tower of Terror, and they also built it like overseas, but not in the Twilight Zone theme.
Yeah, where was that? Do you remember?
I think it was like
remember we was-
Japan.
Yeah, in one of the
Japan?
other parks they rebuilt, and it looks a lot cooler too. I'd like to go see it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
because this ride is, it's cool.
it's cool. It's very cool.
And it has the Twilight Zone thing to it, and it takes place in a hotel that is all cobwebbed up, and
it's just cool.
yeah. But like, if you didn't tell me it was Twilight Zone, I don't think I would call it Twilight
Yeah,
Zone.
I know. I haven't gone on the ride, but I did see the program on the Disney Channel, and it didn't really have anything to do with the Twilight Zone. Although
Yeah.
they do say that if you go through, I have to look on that. There's like little things that you see that have to do with the Twilight Zone.
Yes.
like 15 things that you'll
No, in the
catch or
beginning, like
something
when
that.
when you're going,
Yeah.
the ride starts off with you riding really slow before the whole elevator thing happens.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
go through these scenes and stuff, and it's like stars, and
Yeah.
these things opening up, and it's very like spooky, like sci-fi-ish shit. And you see like this family waving at you, like
Oh
this,
yeah,
like,
yeah. I saw it in the
yeah. So they make it eerie enough where you're like, oh, well, it's cool.
And it's nice that they still have it to this day.
I love that.
Like the one
Yeah.
in California, they busted, they tore down and doing like Guardians of the Galaxy, but this one they kept.
Yeah.
It just.
I hope they never take it off because of the fact that it's a Twilight Zone artifact, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
And people will see it and be like, oh, that's the Twilight Zone.
Yeah. Like it just the appeal
Yeah.
is still here today.
One of the cool things about the Twilight Zone is that the way I discovered it 20 plus years ago,
Mm-hmm.
nothing has changed since then. Like it could be right now, 20 years ago, and the Sci-Fi Channel still to this day
Yeah.
on New Year's Eve airs a minimum, if not more, of a 48-hour marathon, which starts right before the New Year flips.
Yeah, I forget what day it is, but like
I think it starts on like
the
the
day
late
before
30th. No, I think it starts on the
day before.
30th.
Yeah, the 30th.
So like the 30th and the 31st,
first.
and then it runs through the
And-
first and all the way to the morning of the second.
Second. Yeah.
So it's like 4 days where you could just be zoned
And it's so
out,
awesome.
literally.
And I,
Zoned out.
I started, because I work from home, so I'll pop it on and just have it on the background,
Yeah.
while
Yeah.
it's going.
It's a great show just to have on. As
Yeah.
the music in it is amazing too.
The music is so
the
good.
composition.
Even the do 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 do.
Yeah,
I mean,
no, not even
like
that.
lasts-
Even when
no,
even like they had,
but like
they-
the scores, I know what you mean. You're
Yeah,
talking about
like-
like the scores, yeah. all these like
They play stuff like this, where when stuff
very
was happening, when people were just like,
music.
yeah, it's just like they're going around and it's,
It was perfect. It was perfect. It really set the mood. You got to watch it. If you haven't watched The Twilight Zone, I urge you to watch it. I really do. Go get on Amazon
I hope
Prime.
this podcast inspires you to go watch it.
Yeah,
At
absolutely.
least go watch a few of the episodes,
Yes.
Whatever it is that you're into, there's an episode for you. Okay.
Yeah.
And if you need to comment and ask me, like, hey, I kind of like stories that involve this. Which one should I watch? I will have one for you.
Yeah,
in no time.
exactly. If you guys need any suggestions, please go in the comments and ask, and we'll let you know. And but this is I hope you really enjoyed us talking about the Twilight Zone.
Yeah,
and
but before we
sharing
go, I
with
want to
you.
talk about one more thing.
What?
I know we're at the end of the show, but
What?
The one thing I want to talk about
Yes.
is how the Twilight Zone it still has an appeal and an influence on us today.
100. Yeah. Right, go ahead.
You see so many TV shows, even in today's production, where you could see the show. And if you're a fan of the show like I am, where you've seen every episode multiple times, you could immediately see how the Twilight Zone inspired, influenced it.
Yeah, first of all, you know The Simpsons. The Simpsons.
The Treehouse of Horror,
yes,
every year.
Every single Halloween.
You'll catch something that they reference the Twilight Zone in Treehouse of Horror.
All the time.
And
the
not
writers
only
are
them,
huge
everybody.
fans.
The
Everybody
Twilight
does
Zone has
say.
such an amazing influence on pop culture. And, even to this day, like La Gringa mentioned in the beginning of the show, you have people, like when something fucked up is happening to you, you're like, why does it feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone?
Yeah.
It's a Twilight Zone moment.
It's like, when something happens, it's just off.
It's kind of like
what
the
is
phrase
going
that
on?
we use now.
Yes, like COVID.
Exactly.
When COVID happened,
Yeah,
it
when
was
co-
like,
it's like
what
when COVID- yeah.
it was like, dude,
Yeah.
I am in the Twilight Zone. You can't get toilet paper.
You can't get fucking toilet paper. Yeah. And it's like all of a
Like,
sudden.
this is the Twilight Zone.
Antibacterial gel is like fucking gold. and shit. It's kind of very similar to
very
COVID.
similar.
Yeah, it's like things that you don't think would ever happen in our
Yes.
world, or at least in our nation. Let's not say our world, but in our nation.
Yeah, it just
These things that we went through.
that were off.
Totally fucking. If you just watch the Twilight Zone,
You'd be
you'll see
like-
COVID in the Twilight Zone.
Yeah, you'd be like, hey, I understand that.
100%.
We were definitely.
and how it just the reality of the show and how it pertains to real life.
It would
It's
be
just
amazing
amazing.
to see what he would write to this day.
Absolutely.
With all the political climate and everything, because he was just a wonderful, conscious person, just a
Yes.
socially conscious person.
Absolutely.
Oh, I adore.
I
that
want to
man.
mention a few episodes before we wrap up. I know
Yeah,
we're
we
going to
wanna
be
do
wrapping up here in a few minutes, but because Rod Serling was a boxer, one episode I really want you guys to watch, which also has kind of a moral twist to it, is
Yeah.
The Big Tall Wish.
The Big Tall Wish,
Which has a boxing theme about it. And very briefly, it's about a guy who's like a washed up boxer. And we have a big Mike Tyson, Jake Paul fight coming up. And it kind of reminds me of
yeah.
that because Mike Tyson
you're
was a great
right.
in his time. And now he's going to be fighting Jake Paul.
Yeah,
And he's an old man.
which is so
And I
weird.
still believe he's going to fucking whoop his ass.
Yeah, we're gonna watch.
But anyway, long story short, this story is kind of similar where it's a washed up boxer who comes back to try to regain a moment in his heyday, and he has no chance because he's got this way stronger, younger,
Yes.
bigger guy who's gonna
He's got this-
fight, and he really has no
chance.
in winning.
chance.
But there's a little boy
His
who really
neighbor or
believes in
something.
him. He's a neighbor, yeah,
His neighbor.
and the boy makes this really, really crazy wish for him
He's
to
like,
win
please,
the
please,
fight.
please,
And he's like, just makes this really wish. He runs up to the TV while the fight's happening, and he wishes for this so much, and he does, and it happens. But what happens? You know what?
Just
I'm
watch
not
the
gonna
episode.
tell you what happens.
Yes.
But you gotta watch it. I'm gonna leave it right there.
Yes.
Okay. I want to thank you guys so much for
Thank you,
tuning in
thank
and
you.
sitting through this whole long episode and watching me
Get hammered.
Go,
He gets-
go get dither away.
I swear,
with
that's
big
kind of like
stein.
this is usually like this
got
is
my
why I
ale.
like
I got my ale.
this is why I like to do this. I told him we got to start this. This is Tequila Jimmy. This is the fun of this podcast.
That's right.
This we're here to bring you the things that we really enjoy, but he's drunk while we're talking about it. I'm not. I'm drinking my herbal tea.
She's drinking that old people shit.
I'm drinking herbal tea, and be careful.
Don't hang on me.
And I make sure that we stay on track. But this is hysterical.
Yes.
I love this. I love when Jimmy gets a little like buzzed and stuff. You know? So I call him my tequila Jimmy. But we do have some
Next episode.
We got some good.
We're coming at you.
The last time we did this episode, it was funny. Afterwards, he was walking like the floors were moving. That was hysterical.
The floors were moving.
There
was lava on the floor.
That was hilarious.
All right, everyone. So next episode, we're going to be covering Canon Films.
Yay.
If you guys haven't heard of Canon Films, they made some of the shittiest movies, but some of the best movies that you grew up with in the 80s. Breaking 2, Electric Boogaloo, Big Trouble in Little China, Bloodsport, one of my favorite. So definitely stay tuned for the next episode. Thank you guys so much for listening and viewing us on YouTube.
Yes.
We are streaming on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, YouTube, all the streaming platforms.
Yes.
I really hope you guys enjoyed the show. And more than anything, go watch The Twilight Zone.
Thank you guys.
That's the most important thing.
Yay. All right. Yeah. This is good. I love this song.